Um, Hello, everyone. I'm Gustavo Bejar. I'm a PhD candidate at Michigan Tech, and I'm also the host for this webinar series organized by CONVERSE Emerging Researchers. If you want to know more about CONVERSE ER, once again, I'm going to direct you to our website, converse-er.org. You can find more information about CONVERSE ER, but also you can find recordings from our previous sessions. So sessions from this webinar series in the spring, but also the one last year in the fall. Um, with that in mind, I want to announce the speaker for our upcoming session. This is going to be Simone Aveni from the Sapienza University of Rome and the University of Turin. And he's going to be talking about thermal infrared monitoring on volcanoes. You're going to see an email about this session in the upcoming days. So hope to see you there. And now I'm very happy to introduce our speaker for today. This is Carmen Jaimes Viera from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México. And Carmen is going to talk about distributed volcanism in central Mexico, spatio-temporal evolution, and volcanic hazard assessment. So welcome, Carmen. I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start with the talk. And well, as you know, today, February 11th, is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and it's very exciting for me to give this talk in this day. Okay, so we're going to start with this. As Gustavo said, this talk is about the distributed volcanoes in central Mexico. And first, I want to start with this. What is the distributed volcanism? Well, this type of volcanism is defined by regions of dominantly monogenetic eruptive bands, but not exclusively. Okay, and we can find in these volcanic fields, okay, I don't know, I mean, the composition in these parts can be since basalts and rhyolite, and we can find all types of volcanoes in all tectonic environments, okay? So this means that we can find very complexity and variety of magma ascent in and storage conditions, okay? So now we're going to talk about the volcanoes in Mexico. So in Mexico, here in this part, just here. This is the Trans-Mexican volcanic belt, and in this part is where we can find many of the distributed volcanism in the country, and this is a result of the subduction of the Cocos Plate, Orozco and Rivera, beneath the North American plate since the Miocene. Now, in central part of Mexico, we identified at least 15 monogenetic volcanic clusters, and these clusters are limited by at least one Holocene polygenetic volcano, most of them having erupting less than 1 kiloyears, okay? So here in this map, we can see that the triangles in red are representing the monogenetic volcanoes. The triangles in orange, these are the Holocene polygenetic volcanoes, and those triangles in yellow, sorry, are polygenetic volcanoes from the Pleistocene. So here you can see that the monogenetic volcanoes are in all this part, and the size of the clusters can vary in a wide range, and also the number of volcanoes and total area occupied can vary in all this part in Mexico. Okay. I don't know. Well, I mean, from For example, we can found some distributed volcanism clusters from 80 individual cones in less than 5,000 square kilometers, up to 916 in 2,700 square kilometers. Okay. And now, in this talk, I'm going to talk about two of these monogenetic fields. The first one is the Sierra Chinautzin that is located in this part, so close to the Popocatépetl volcano, and the other volcanic field is Michoacán, Guanajuato, in this part, that also is, well, in this case, is close to Colima volcano. Okay, so Sierra Chinautzin volcanic field. Okay, this volcanic field is situated more or less 280 kilometers from the Mesoamerican Trench. It's composed about 227 volcanic vents in this area, and all these volcanoes were formed between 1.5 million years and 2,000 years. So the eruptive style in this volcanic field is mainly strombolian, with some manifestation of violent strombolian to Hawaiian type, and some Santiaguito type eruptions. Then in this part, we can find some scoria cones with lava flows, shield volcanoes, and coneless lava flows. Okay. Here it's important to study this volcanic field because most or part of the Mexico City is built on this range. So for that reason, this area is very important to study. Okay. Well, when we start to study this volcanic field, we did some morphometry analysis and some argon-argon dating to understand how was the distribution in this volcanic field. With the distribution, I want to say that is about how old could be the volcanic field. So we study all these volcanoes that you can see in yellow in this area, and we found that there are all the volcanic field, is composed by 4 volcanic groups or 4 volcanic episodes that forming all the Sierra Chinautzin. Okay. So here you can see, this is a graph in which we can see the age. I mean, here, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, yeah. Here. And we found that the first volcanic episode was from more or less 1,300 years and to 800 years, more or less, here. And this is the first volcanic episode. After that, we found a temporal gap about 500,000 years. And then we have a reactivation of monogenetic volcanic activity with this other second group. Then we have another temporal gap about 60 kiloyears. And then we have the younger volcanic manifestation in this volcanic field. Okay, so here, this is the geologic map of Sierra Chinautzin, and here we can see the distribution of the volcanoes according to the age, and we named here these 4 groups. So the oldest group is the Peñón monogenetic volcanic field that is colored in this dark pink, okay, with these ages, with these data, okay. Then we have the older Chinautzin monogenetic volcanic field that we found in this part of the area. Then we have the younger Chichinautzin monogenetic field that there are less than 35 kiloyears. And the last one of the fourth episode is the Sierra Santa Catarina, sorry, with this with this data, okay. And well, you can see the distribution of the cones in this area, and seems like the volcanism was moving to the edge of the area to the sun. Okay. Now I want to talk. I want to be very brief about these characteristics of the single volcanic group or volcanic field. This is the Peñón monogenetic volcanic field. It's located in this part of the area, and they have these characteristics. Okay, and for example, the petrography of these volcanoes show that we can find well-preserved plage, olivine, and pyroxene have a poorly developed reaction edge. That this situation could be because the decompression during the ascent of the magma. Okay. Then the second volcanic group is the older Chichinautzin volcanic field that you can see here in the map. It's located more to the center of the area. In this case, we have crystals with resolver center and highly developed reaction edges. And we found some amphibole and some quartz also in some of the samples. And then we have the third volcanic episode that is represented by the younger Chichinautzin volcanic field that is located in the central part of the area. In this part, the volcanoes, the oldest volcanoes are about 35 kiloyears, and they are located in the western part of the area, in this here, where is the circle in red. And then we saw that the younger volcanoes are in this. Okay, so in the younger Chichinautzin volcanic field, we saw that the oldest volcanoes are in the west, and sorry, in the east, and to the west are the youngest volcanoes. Okay. And then the last fourth volcanic episode in the area is represented by Sierra Santa Catarina. Here, in this photograph, we can see that all this range is the Sierra Santa Catarina here, and these bigger volcanoes are Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl volcanoes. So, and also you can see in this photograph that all this part is the inhabited area in Mexico City. So in this case, and when I want to use this photograph to remember that the reason for what is important to study these volcanoes in Mexico City. Okay, so this is the geologic map. In this case, the volcanism was shift between pratomagmatism and volcanism to magmatic volcanism, okay? Because the Sierra Santa Catarina cones are tuff cones that evolve into scoria cones. So in here you can see this kind of deposits. All these parts are related to the hydromagmatic activity, and then in this part, the upper part of the cone are related to the magmatic activity only. Okay. Also, we can see here the accretionary lapilli. So this is how it's the evidence. Okay, that here in all these volcanoes we found this hydromagmatic or phreatomagmatic activity. Okay, so and then well, so after this recognition of the all these volcanoes in this part of Mexico City, we make a spatial distribution of the volcanic fields with a geostatistical analysis, which show the distribution of the cones and how the area was shrinks with the age. Because in this part in purple, we can see that we have the oldest volcanoes. Then in this area in orange are the volcanoes with a medium age. And here in the below yellow area, we have the youngest volcanoes in all the Sierra Chichinautzin, okay? And here in green, we have the Sierra Santa Catarina, and we think that this volcanic range is not properly part of the Sierra Chichinautzin. So now, with all this information, now we are focusing only in this part of the area, I mean, in the younger Chichinautzin volcanic field. And with this, with the previous information that we have, now we have another two new ages that in this part of the Sierra here, and the other one is here. Okay, so this confirmed that intermediate age volcanics central part and towards the air, I mean, in this part and in this part, we have the oldest volcanism, and only in the central part, we have the youngest volcanism or recent volcanism. Okay. Then, with this information and all these volcanic events, we have that the average density for the world field is this. Oh, no, sorry, it's this. Okay, and we have the highest concentration of volcanic vents, obviously, is in the central part. Okay, with this kernel density analysis, sorry. And then we saw that the eruption of the last 10 kiloyears are the most recent eruptions in this part of the area. Okay, so I don't know if you remember but I said that the oldest volcanic manifestation in younger Chichinautzin field was in this part of the volcanic of the area, sorry, and the youngest volcanism is in this. So here you can see that the triangles in red are the volcanoes that are less than 10 kiloyears, and the rest of the triangles are volcanoes, okay, more than 10 kiloyears. See? Yes. And also with this analysis, we saw that the vent alignments in Sierra Chichinautzin show a general trend from east to west. Here we can see this part, okay, with this analysis that can vary from 17 to 115 degrees. Then, once we know how are the morphology of the cones, what are the ages of the cones, and that we have 4 groups of volcanic activity in this area, and we know now that the recent eruption or the the volcanic activity more recent are in the central part of the area. We did an analyze the seismic activity in this area, and we can see that since 1973, we found 841 seismic events in the area, and the magnitude of the earthquakes is between 1 to 5. But also we saw that the most of them are less than 5 kilometers of depth. And these earthquakes are related or associated with the regional crustal faults. Okay. In this area, well, as you can see in this map, the deepest earthquakes, I mean, those that are between 31 to 15 kilometers, are not too common. I mean, they are rare. So here in this map, you can find that those earthquakes with the circles in green. So we can see this. I mean, there are not a lot. But also here in this map, we can find that the distribution of the epicenters could be grouped into areas. Okay, so the first group is in this part with the magnitudes less than 2.6, and the other group that this, you can see my cursor. Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So here, this is the second group that we can find magnitudes between 3.1 to 4. Okay. Here are these earthquakes. Okay, are near these faults that you can see here and here. So if we are saying that in this part we have the youngest volcanic activity, so these faults are these earthquakes, it's important to know. Okay, so we can say something about this. Okay, then also we make the analysis of the elongation of the ellipsoid, sorry. And this is for to know the dike direction of the plumbing system. And in this case, we only use the volcanoes less than 10 kiloyears. And we can see that the direction of these dikes are like northwest to southeast, okay, in this direction. And this is very similar to the direction of the general trend of these dikes is parallel to the Mesoamerican trench, as we can see here. Okay, and this analysis allow us to identify the feeder dike direction of these volcanoes. Okay, now I want to talk something yes about the other volcanic field. I don't know if you have any questions at this moment. Okay.
Yeah, if anyone has any question, feel free to unmute yourself or just put it in the chat box.
Well, now, so this is all the analysis that we did in the Chichen volcanic field. And now I want to introduce to the other volcanic field that we are studying also, that is Michoacán, Guanajuato volcanic field. This volcanic field is one of the largest and most diverse monogenetic volcanic fields in the world. It's about 1,000 volcanic vents, more than 1,000 volcanic vents in an area that have in this area. Okay, so it's one of the biggest okay, volcanic fields. Here in this volcanic field, we can find lava domes, scoria, cinder domes, shield volcanoes, also mar volcanoes, and lava flows, coneless, and few stratovolcanoes. So here, in this area, we can find the Paricutin volcano that was is one of the most recent volcanoes. These volcanoes started its activity in the 50s, so it's a very recent volcanism here. And you can see here, for example, we have the Colima volcano to the west and La Caldera, Los Azufres Caldera to the east. So, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, that monogenetic fields are lying with the polygenetic volcanoes. Okay. Then here we also did a cone morphology analysis for an age estimation, and we can found here that the oldest volcanoes are in this part, I mean to the north, and the youngest are to the south of the area. And also we found that for groups, in this case, groups of volcanoes, and here are the names. The first one is the Uruapan volcanic field, that is this part, okay. Then it's Pátzcuaro volcanic field with the black line. Then we have a Patzingan volcanic field, it's this one, and Valle de Santiago volcanic field to the north. Okay, so here we identify this group, we can do this separation also because the morphology and the type of volcanism. Because, for example, here in Valle de Santiago, all these volcanoes are associated with the phreatomagmatic volcanism. So in this part is where we can find a lot of mar volcanoes, and in the rest of these volcanic groups, we can find cinder cones or scoria cones, okay, and some volcano shields. Then, with the kernel density analysis, but now working only in each of these volcanic groups, we found that how the density of the volcanoes is very different. So, for example, in the Valle de Santiago volcanic field that we consider the oldest of this area, the density is the 0.025. Then in the Apatzingan, that is in this part, is 0.051 bends per square kilometer. Then in Pátzcuaro volcanic field, the density is the 0.061. And then in Uruapan, that is in this part, we have this density of the bends per square kilometers, okay? So this is the distribution of inside of the Michoacán, Guanajuato volcanic field, no? And here, once that we have the morphology or morphometric analysis, and then we have the kernel density analysis, also to identify these different volcanoes. Also, we have the general fault azimuthal direction for each group, and we can see that these directions are very different. So this support the idea that these groups are different. I mean, inside of the Michoacan, Guanajuato volcanic field that it's considered like only one volcanic field, we can found different volcanic groups. Okay, so the activity was in different time. Okay. And also in this part we did and we make an seismic analysis, and we saw that in this part between Uruapan volcanic field, Apatzingan volcanic field, and Pátzcuaro volcanic field. Oh, sorry. We can see that we have all these earthquakes, and here is the Paricutin volcano, which is the youngest volcanoes in the area. But also we can see with this, this information is only by me. It's with previous authors also. But we saw that, well, it is possible to observe a slight trend of earthquakes toward the surface from the east, okay, in this part to the west. Okay, so here in this zoom of the area, we can see that, for example, in 2020, there was a swarm, a seismic swarm in this part of the area. Then in 2021, the seismic swarm is like move to the west, okay? And then in 2023, that are the white points or circles. And the last was in 2023 in red circles here. So here we can see that how the seismic activity was moving or in this direction, or at least that seems okay. And well, so as I said before, the in Chichinautzin volcanic field, it's important, and also here in this area in Michoacán, Guanajuato, because there are a lot of people that living around the volcanoes, and it's important to know how to do in the case of a possible new eruption in these areas. So in both areas, so that seismic activity is present. Okay, it's not that. I mean, it's an active zone, a seismic active zone, and it's important to know how to do in these areas. So, and well, now in as conclusions, for Michoacán, Guanajuato volcanic field, we found 4 main clusters that were identified within the Michoacán, Guanajuato that are controlled by different fault systems. And this is important because it's, I mean, different fault systems, then different ages and different type of volcanic activity. It's are all of these are saying us that are different volcanic fields. I mean, okay. Then the main orientation of the vents in this in Pátzcuaro, at Patzingan, and Valle Santiago, sí, is between 20 and 100 degrees. And only this in Uruapan has a different trend. So here is something that we have to know. Then seismic activity is concentrated in the region between Paricutin and Tancítaro volcanoes. So these two volcanoes are the most youngest in the area. So for this is important to have pay attention in that zone. Then in Sierra Chinautzin, volcanoes are concentrated in the main one main cluster, sorry, that it's in the center part of the area. And the dike direction that feed volcanoes that are less than 10 kiloyears is northwest southeast. It's more or less parallel to the trench. And Also, these dikes are alignment with the Popocatépetl main fault system and could be associated. So this is important also because if you remember when I talk about the Peñón monogenetic volcanic field, I said that after the volcanic activity in that volcanic field stopped, and then the Popocatépetl start with its activity. So could be related in this area, okay? And then what about the volcanic hazard assessment? So in both areas, we need to be prepared, okay? And in the case of the Michoacán, Guanajuato, it's important to work in the Uruapan volcanic field, okay? Because it's considered the most likely area for a future eruptive activity, okay? Because in this volcanic field, we can find the Paricutin volcano and also Tancítaro. So it's important, to know about this, okay? On the other hand, in the Sierra Chinautzin, we have a complete evaluation of volcanic risk, and in which we found three possible areas in which could be born a new volcano as possible. Okay, and this is the paper. So I invite you to check this paper. It's very interesting. And here in Sierra Chinautzin, this work is about how much can cost the new eruption in Mexico City, and how and also how the damage in the city could be. So it's very interesting, this paper, and mine also. Okay, so a similar evaluation could be accomplished for the Uruapan volcanic field, and what to know, okay, about the consequence of an eruption, no? As well as the cost associated with cleanup of tephra. And another thing that it's very important is the design of evacuation routes and shelters that could be addressed by such an evaluation, no? Which could also include ongoing exercise with the population and civil protection to ensure awareness of volcanic hazards. So we did a lot of work for in both volcanic fields, and I think that also we need to do more in the areas, in both areas, and not only in those areas. As I said at the beginning, in Mexico, only in the central part, the Trans-Mexican volcanic field, we found 15 volcanic fields. So we need to know more about the behavior or the monogenetic volcanism, and how to help or how to work for the hazard assessment in this area. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention, and if you have any comments or questions, please don't be shy.
Thank you, Carmen. And yeah, as Carmen mentioned, if you have any question, we're gonna open the space for them. So feel free to type them in the chat box or unmute your microphone and just speak. Okay, Darren has a question.
Sure, yeah, great talk. This is not a question, but more of a comment. I think one of your last few slides, you showed a seismic map. I think there's a really great potential there to look at some earthquake relocation work. I don't know if that's being considered. I know you showed kind of like a plot with color by depth and size by magnitude. I'd be very curious to see kind of like a plot looking at the earthquake's color through time. I feel like there are many ways that we could kind of transform that earthquake information to kind of get to that inference. So yeah, I'm very curious to see where this work goes. And yeah, thank you. Very interesting.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question about the Michoacán Guanajuato volcanic field.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I'm wondering, like, there's this four subdivisions. Are they what parameters were used to delineate those
Yes.
divisions? Yeah.
Okay. For well, today to do this differentiation, I mean, we use the type of kind of volcanism. So because in this part, the mainly activity was phreatomagmatic activity, and we have this orientation with the volcanic vents. So we did the same with the other three. We found the concentration of the density of volcanoes in one of these area, and also we saw that the main direction of the cones is very different between them. Okay, so I don't know if that was the question. Yes, right?
Yes, but and to add to the question, yeah, was there any like difference in the chemical signatures of the lavas for each
Ah,
group?
yeah. We have some. We find some difference, but actually we are working on that also because well, this volcanic field is too big. So comparing with Chichen Itzá, that there are more than 1,000 volcanoes, and it's a lot of information. So we are working on that in this moment because yes, also I I think well, in one of the previous work here by Connor, he said that the rocks with more potassium are in the south part. If I don't. Okay, so oh, sorry. So we were working on the chemistry in this volcanic field. So, but yes, we think that there are some difference in chemistry.
Sounds good. It seems like there might be some very interesting results coming out of that.
Yes.
Is there any question? Any other question? All right. Seems like yeah, no more questions. So thank you once again, Carmen, for being our speaker for today. That was very interesting. And
Thank you.
before we go, I wanna remind you that our next session is gonna be on February 25th, and it's gonna be presented by Simone Aveni from Sapienza University of Rome and University of Turin. So make sure to join us that day. It's gonna be a very interesting talk. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.